Welcome back to Indian Trace. I guess that's an appropriate way to set up with a smoking point. Now I saw the base sticking out of one behind us. We're going to do a little join the hunt with Indian Trace. I'm going to show you what I've been finding. Now I brought this, of course, give you a good look as we get going. We're going to walk up here. We could find another couple points. We could find another smoker. But I brought this because this point does well to honor this site, the cove. I love the cove. One of my favorite sites. And I say that about all the sites, don't I? Well, if it puts out North American Indian artifacts like this, then I just need to walk along and know who was here. As I always say, if you know who was here, look at that point. You know what is here, like this. Then you start seeing this, and there was a base. I messed with it. It seemed like it was too tight for this loose dirt, so there might be something behind it. We're going to check it out in a second. Just wanted to show you this. That's a piece of sugar quartz. Couldn't leave it out there. A little tip. Field points like this. I call them teenage points. Because you know, back then, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, during the Archaic period or more, the sons were also making points. The novices were also making points. Children were also imitating their fathers. Look at the base on this. I love the base on this. You can even see the sinew where it was hafted in, often on the rhyolite. So, a lot of times I think we find either the discarded materials, as I've heard before. Look at the base. I love it. And then some smoking stuff. And then we also find, which we love and adore, pieces made by masters. And I bet you at 16, 17, 18 years old, you could easily become a master. But, look at this. We're going to walk up there, come back, and then check this base. I know it's a good base. So hang in there. I'll give you a good view here of the cove. Famous trees that line our sites, right? All right, let's move here. I can get myself steady in the dirt all the way out here. You know, funny thing was, oh yeah, I just remembered, this is a great thought. Listen to this. You heard me say more than once, and a couple comments came in. Well, look at that. There's something down there. Let's look at this, because we see things like this happen all the time. A couple comments came in, you know, wow, goodness gracious, you're skipping lunch all the time? I laughed. No big deal. You see, something they were just trying to fart around with. I laughed because it's no big deal to give up a little bit of food for the opportunity to find some great North American Indian artifacts. Now look, see, that's rhyolite, not indigenous, a flake, quartz, flaking like that, you know, something else is happening. But the reason I said that is this. Listen, and it was funny, it came to me. I say this for the married folk out there, or for those of you that are adults and you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. If you had the opportunity to skip lunch or skip dinner so that you could make love to your wife or your husband, would you skip that dinner or lunch? Me? Absolutely. Most of the guys out there are saying, absolutely skip lunch to make love to my wife. Absolutely. I mean, that's the bottom line, see? So I don't mind out here taking a little time and just skipping eating lunch altogether. I mean, you'll get something on the run. You'll stuff some food down somewhere. Funny stuff, though. So, the funny thing was, it just struck me yesterday that no problem. They said, why are you skipping lunch all the time? Don't you want lunch? I said, listen, if you had the opportunity to skip lunch to make love to your wife, would you? Now all the guys out there are going, oh yeah, definitely. And it's funny, you know. Human sexuality is a funny thing. I don't think it's anything other than the prude way that our culture in religion has conditioned people to be shy, to shy away and to be afraid to discuss their own sexuality. But we're not going to get into that in Indian Trace. It's true, nevertheless. No big deal. There's a lot to gain. Not a lot to lose from not eating food. I mean, we don't need half as much food as we usually eat. It's funny. It's so funny. because traveling abroad and been into different countries and everything, when I was spending some time in Brazil, I'm hoping we find a smoker on the walk. This one's tight. I hope it pays off, but nevertheless, good conversation always pay off to bring you out here to an ancient Indian site and take my time here just working on the focus and the angle so you can see what I'm seeing. Anyway, I was in Brazil and we're talking about food, you know, what we need. Well, human sexuality is something we need. The sexuality we share between girlfriends, boyfriends, husband, wife, that sort of thing is something we need. And you know, I was down in Brazil and I was shocked for the first time working with the people down there that they pretty much, at least the people I was with, have one big square meal a day, their dinner. Other than that, they really don't, I mean, they have one square meal a day. That's the way it is. And I was shocked as an American because we just try so hard to get 3 square a day, many people. Luxury snacks in between, luxury drinks all the time. To me, it's pitiful. It's pitiful. It's pitiful. It's what I have learned is a word often used called lasciviousness, excess, and gluttony. And so I try to stay away from it too. I try to fellowship. You talk about the North American Indian? Think about this. Think about this. We're going to get to that point in a minute, so hang in there. Look at the end of this. This is great. The cove, backside cove is the green over there in grass. But, so I don't lose my train of thought, the funniest part of it all is that we don't lack. Not as an American, that is for sure. We don't lack. But and to give a time frame of when I get out here or just make a comment on a video, it's usually midday here, usually. Or daybreak on the weekends. I mean, that's the opportunity I had to get out. You know, other than that, there's things to do and work to be done. Work to be done. I was shocked working in Brazil, and it sort of filed off those edges off me to understand, hey, this is okay. You know, this works just fine to have a really good, satisfying, thankful meal once a day. Now I'm looking back over, try not to lose my track and miss out on anything as I walk, because I've lost my marker in those points and that other thing that I saw, but I'm sure it'll pop up again in my vision. No, I see it way up there. Okay. Anyway, funny stuff. Back to the North American Indian. You know, they literally lived through times of plenty, feasting, and times of famine. They would often harvest and gain a nice flock of game or elk or bison, and they would be gluttonous. They really would. And I've read about it. And then they would just go on. And then they might go through days without food. 4 or 5 days without any food, sometimes longer. They were almost put on a natural forced fast, if you can believe it. And it was absolutely true. So they understood times of plenty and times of famine. And, you know, that's a really interesting thing that I try to understand about them as I collect the evidence of their bloodline and their lives, that's just the way life was for them. They knew they would have times of plenty, and that the Great Spirit, I call it the Creative Spirit, I call it the Spirit of Life, would provide for them. And at the same time, there would be times that they would need to suffer, and they would need to exercise their own restraint and poise, being stoic, being patient, learning how to suffer well. You know, in this life, pain is, there's a piece of quartz we'll check, and then we'll go over and check the other piece that I recognize, and we'll cut this short. In this life, I'm going to promise you this: pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You choose whether or not you're going to suffer. You're going to have pain no matter what, in lots of different ways. And I know a lot of you out there that I talk to, that I do join the hunt for, whether it's Frank or whether it's Brian or whether it's Mike or whether it's Mike, bringing you guys out there if you're feeling bad or if you're hurting, I mean, racked with pain, could be right now, bring you out here. And you know, even though you're racked with pain, and I know, Frank, you understand this real well, you don't have to suffer. It's a choice, a spiritual choice. Pain, yeah, you're gonna be in pain many times, and I try to raise my sons to understand this as well. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, I was walking up here and I saw this and I said, look at that. And I looked real close and I said, you know, that is a great base. I looked at it real close. I said, sure as you live, they've worked that base real well. So I took it and I moved. I said, the dirt's moving. I'm going to leave it right there, and I'm going to check out some of this stuff. We're going to film it, talk about it, get going with a join the hunt. So let's check this out here. Because way deep back there, I'll show you what happens. And we all know it. If I move the back of this thing, look at the dirt all the way up there moving. So I'm going to try to flip it right up and out. Great mercy. Do you see what I see? Well, that's smoking, isn't it? Look at that tip. First ones to see this, 5,000 years plus. There's your point. Holy smoking. Holy smoking. That's what I'm talking about right there. In that base where it's clean right there is what we saw sticking out. Look at that. Working quartz. The funny thing is, I thought it was messed up on the base, but that's a relief on the backside. That's a big relief, so they could haft it in. What a reward and a good talk on Join the Hunt. Look at that piece, will you? Holy smoke. Not even cleaned off yet. I didn't expect that. 2.5 inch smoker with a great relief base. Every part of it is worked. They meant for all of this that you're looking at. Meant to be. It's not even cleaned up. Let me see if I can clean it up just a little bit. What are we looking at? Kneeling out here in the dirt. I bet it'd be the funniest thing just to film me filming all this stuff. I'm gonna tell you what. It'd be funny as can be. All right, let's check this out. Holy cow! Let's give a good look at this. Mercy, and I'll put it in my hand just so you get a good idea of what size it is. My. It's a keeper for me. I don't find them like that this often. I know how rare they are, and I've only been collecting for 5 years, but I know what's rare, how often you find certain things, and how often you don't, but quality is quality. And since it's quartz and hard to work, I would guess this comes from a master. Now, the North American Indian, remember, an 18-year-old could be a master. Could have been napping for 10 years already or more. Look at this. Holy cow. I want to talk about smoke here at the Cove. Strawberry quartz is in there a bit. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And so you know, even though that was small right there, that one that I found, that's what you find in places like this. Can you believe it? Appreciate you tuning in to Indian Trace. Obviously, that is Indian Trace. Look at the strawberry quartz in it. Can you see it? Holy cow. Have a fantastic one out there. Thanks for joining the hunt with Indian Trace.